Matter number 13, application for certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, 16 East 84th Street, located within the Metropolitan Museum Historic District. It's docket number 168938, an altered neo-Georgian style row house designed by Clinton and Russell and built in 1899-1900. The application is to legalize windows installed at the third floor without Landmarks Preservation Commission permits.
Clearly been modified.
So, Commissioners, just for clarification, we're looking at item 13 in the packet.
Right.
Item 13.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Hillary Paget, Preservation Department staff. This property is located in the Metropolitan Museum Historic District and is located on the south side of East 84th Street between Madison Avenue and Fifth Avenue. The property is located here. Note that the window openings at the third and fourth floors were altered and the fifth floor addition was constructed prior to designation. The applicant is proposing to legalize windows installed at the third floor without a permit. Please also note that the violation was issued for the installation of windows at the third, fourth, and fifth floors, but only the third floor condo owner is participating in the proposal at this time. The applicant's attorney is here to present the application.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Valerie Campbell. I'm with Kramer Levin, and we're representing the owner of the third floor apartment. The owner purchased the apartment in 1997. At that time, the windows had already been changed, so these are, and I think the windows also on the fourth floor had already been changed at that time. And so they have been in violation along with the windows on the fifth floor for quite a while. The building is not coming forward with a master plan. My client asked the building if they would come forward with the master plan. They declined, and also the other unit owners declined. But my client is in the situation where he needs to do some work on the interior, and he's also hoping to sell this apartment, so he needs to clear the violation up. Just to go, unfortunately what you see on the left is the original condition. This is the tack, and those openings were changed before designation on the third, fourth, and fifth floors. By 1980, you see this configuration. We don't know if this was the change, when this change was made. I suspect, and this is the designation photo, which is a little bit hard to decipher because of the angle, but it's essentially the same as the 1980 tax photo windows. In 1948, the apartment, the townhouse was changed to multifamily, and there were apartments in the front and the rear of the building. And I think that's when the configuration of the windows changed, because if you see at the top of the screen, it accommodated a bedroom and then a living room. These are some details of the windows. The windows on the third floor are painted wood casements, multi-pane in the large opening, and a multi-pane painted wood double hung in the smaller opening. You can see the fourth floor, which is the same size window opening, has a single pane surrounded with two sort of smaller double hung. The smaller window is pretty much the same on each of the floors. So in looking at the windows and meeting with staff, since we don't know what the condition was in 1948 necessarily, but we thought that the windows in the large opening on the third floor were more appropriate, for than the configuration shown on the fourth floor. And that's really our presentation. The one thing I did notice when I was looking at these photos that the windows do need painting, and there is going to be some scaffolding on the building for some work that needs to be done, and the owner has agreed to paint the windows at that time.
It actually appears.
Okay, questions? Any questions? All right, we'll take testimony. Michael Hall?
Michael Hall, Friends of the Upper East Side. The alterations to the facade at 16 East 84th Street have resulted in unsympathetic changes and LPC violations for the 3rd through 5th floors. This is unfortunate, and our committee was hard-pressed to identify an easy solution. Under the circumstances, with owner consensus, we would prefer the building to return to its original 3-window configuration. However, we understand the complexities of this particular case. Although it's not ideal, the Preservation Committee at Friends found the legalization of the 3rd floor windows to be acceptable. However, we hope that the building can be restored to its original design in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? All right, Community Board 8 recommends, they recommend approval, legalizing the windows. Okay, any questions for the applicant? All right, comments? Any concerns?
So when the next tenant comes, is there a chance then that we'll ask them to change to conform to this, or just, we're going to just give up on this building?
You'd have to get the 4th floor. The thing is, what we need is both floors to change if we're going to,
The building has not come forward with a master plan that the applicant has asked them to, but not with this come forward with a master plan. So should you approve to legalize these windows today, that is a standard application for the floor above when they come in.
What's the downside of asking them to put it back the way it was?
Well, it was, I think, 3-window configure, yeah, it was 3 windows, now it's 2 windows.
Okay.
Right, so historically, the building had 3 window bays, and
Right.
that was
Yeah.
entirely changed
this is one home.
prior to designation. Prior to designation.
They'd already gone into
when
that.
the building was converted into a multiple dwelling.
Right.
It got the 2-window pattern on the upper floors. And so, short of having to do major reconstruction, the likelihood of going back to that is not what it's going to happen in the near future.
And the commission has no ability to acquire.
I mean, we could, if we like the window above.
But the grandfather condition is not in violation.
Multi-light, like a double common.
Okay.
Yeah.
They didn't,
No, it was like that, right? Yeah.
this is the
That-
time of designation, and
Yeah.
again, there was not one consistent fenestration pattern for all 4 of those openings at that time.
So we have 2 choices. We can go back to designation time, or we can accept what's there now.
Right? I think
Right,
we-
and
I think-
designation time wasn't historic.
I think we have a 3rd choice, which we could say we'd like, you can just put in one single window, or, in other words, you could dictate what this window was and then let that be the standard of legalization. I mean, you could not legalize it, but have them do something else.
You could come up with another design, yes.
Come up with another.
Like if we like the one above, or we just wanted one window, or say make it a tripartite. In other words, we could select a standard for the other window above when they came in again. But till we have a single owner, we're not going to get
Right, the
returned to
proposal
original.
is to do the multi-light casements. I think that if you found that inappropriate, the applicants would have to come back with a new design to propose to
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so,
Right, I don't know how, I mean, I don't find it inappropriate, I think it's appropriate. It's multi-light, it matches the adjacent window. Okay, we're all good with that? Okay.
Yeah.
So, we'll close the hearing? And Michael, you want to read that?
Just to be clear, we're accepting
Yes, we're accepting.
yeah.
with a coat of paint.
With the coat of paint, yes. And without a mod.
In the matter of 16 East 84th Street, the Metropolitan Museum Historic District, an application to legalize windows installed at the third floor without Landmarks Preservation Commission permits, I recommend approval. Finding that the removal of the previous windows at the third floor did not result in the loss of significant architectural or historic fabric, that although the upper floor windows historically had a regular pattern of single windows with enfraiments, they were heavily altered prior to designation, and therefore changing the configuration of these windows will not break from the historic fenestration pattern in the row. That the proposed 6/6 double-hung wood windows matches the parlor floor windows and the single window on the fourth floor above. That the multi-light casement windows at the third floor, though varying from the operation and configuration of the windows existing at the remainder of the facade, provide a level of articulation and scale to the oversized opening that strengthens the composition of the facade. And that the proposed work will not detract from the building or the Metropolitan Museum Historic District, and the applicant will put a coat of paint on the existing windows.
All in favor?
Sorry.
Okay, Commissioners, the last item is item number 14.